Hello. This week, my presentation will cover the different feeding impactors and strategies used to optimize feed intake, specifically for dairy cattle. First, I'm going to briefly describe the importance of dairy cows meeting their optimal dry matter intake requirements. The biggest consequence that there would be if the cows were not intaking as much feed as they should be is a decrease in milk production. If a cow does not intake the required nutrients, it will have a very difficult time maintaining the energy levels required to produce milk. The body will then start pulling energy from fat sources, leading to the body condition score to drop dramatically into an unhealthy level, as you can see in this picture of a cow with a body condition score of 1. In order for a cow to perform at the maximal level, they must be able to maintain an adequate body condition score and feed intake. This optimal milk production to dry matter intake ratio is known as feed efficiency. This value is very important in evaluating whether your herd is consuming the necessary feed amounts and whether you may need to adjust something to better promote their feeding. Some of the major reasoning behind a lack in appetite in dairy cattle include, but are not limited to, certain stress factors, including heat stress, overcrowding, disease or illness, and certain palatability factors. I will go briefly over each one of these reasons and what can be done to prevent or manage them. Heat stress occurs when the temperature and humidity index rises above the cow's upper range of thermoneutrality, which typically rests around 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit. When a cow experiences temperatures above their range of thermoneutrality, they then begin to withhold from eating. This is because the action of eating results in an increased release of metabolic heat, which would then add to the environmental temperature the cow is experiencing, thus making the cow extremely uncomfortable. As you can see in this graph, when the temperature-humidity index increases, the dry matter intake decreases in a linear pattern for any cow, no matter the milk production yield they have. It can be seen again in a different form here, when the greater temperature-humidity index shows a much lower dry matter intake. Some strategies that can be used in helping to minimize this discomfort is installing a shade structure for cows out on pasture and to be sure that those pastures are lined with trees to offer additional shading. A way to help minimize heat stress in barns is to install large fans with misters over the cows' feed bunk and free stalls, as seen here in this picture of the UGA dairy. Facilities play a major role in affecting the cow's desire to eat, especially when there is any overcrowding. Overcrowding your herd can lead to an increased competition and thus decreasing their desire and ability to eat when they want. You can increase their feed simply by reducing competition. This can be done in many ways. To start, separating the mature cows from the young heifers will drastically reduce any feeling of competition between the animals. The next step in ensuring your herd is able to get proper feed intake is to place enough cows in each pen so that there is 2 feet of feed bunk space per cow. A good example of this is seen in this picture I took at the UGA dairy farm. You can clearly see each cow has plenty of space to eat at their own pace and without any competition from the others. Cows are very social creatures, so allowing them to have enough space to eat all together will optimize their feed intake. Some other features that can be added to your facility to promote feed intake and farm efficiency is to use a push-up feeder, similar to the one seen in this image, in order to ensure all feed is able to be reached by the cows and none is wasted. Also, utilizing less abrasive flooring for your feed bunk, such as tile, can also ensure some comfort for the cow when she is consuming feed. Overall, one of the greatest things you can do to maximize feed intake is to make sure your cows are the most comfortable they can be. Any disease or illness, whether it be internal such as ketosis or acidosis, or external such as poor hoof health, can all lead to a decrease in an individual's cow feed intake. A sick and uncomfortable cow will not want to eat, as their focus is on the problem inside or outside of them. A decreased feed intake can then lead to a decrease in the animal's overall productivity and decrease in their productive life if the illness is severe enough. Some strategies that every production facility should utilize are an annual or biannual visit from a hoof trimmer. A lame cow will not want to eat, so it is advised a professional is brought to the farm at least once a year to treat any infections and trim hoofs to ensure cow comfort. A good relationship with a veterinarian is also advised. You want a good relationship with a vet in case of emergency. If any of your herd were to fall ill, you would want an expert to turn to who would be more than willing and happy to help. The best thing a production facility can do to prevent any disease or illness is just to maintain good and constant observation skills to recognize if an animal is injured, sick, or getting sick. Cows are very selective animals. They have an amazing sense of smell and taste, and they will be turned away from any feed if it does not taste or smell right to them. As you can see in this video, a sweet treat was placed in the middle of the feed bunk. All of the nearby cows went directly for it and picked it out of their normal TMR. Because cows have such a sweet tooth, a great way to entice them to eat is to add molasses to their ration. Molasses offers a very cost-effective way to increase palatability of feeds and also contributes to good levels of energy and protein to the diet. An added bonus is that molasses can also help reduce any heat-related stress. Adding molasses is a tricky task. You would not want to add too much to the diet to avoid any risk of metabolic disorders that could arise, and adding too little will not help increase the palatability of your feed. Because of this, the addition must be regulated and consistently mixed through the TMR, where there is no risk of some animals getting too much or none at all. An ideal diet should consist about 3 kilograms of molasses per head per day. Here are the references I used for my data and my figures for this presentation. Thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.